I think we will get started then, even if as people are still getting on. Welcome everybody to the June meeting of the Greater Pine Island Civic Association. We have our minutes taker is going to be Debbie, and I will get you the agenda in a minute. Let's see. Okay, here's our agenda for tonight. We're going to start with a treasurer's report from Mike Sweeney, our treasurer, and then Mike is also on the bike path committee, or rather now it's called the mixed use path, and he will be giving us an update. We'll tell you a little bit about our meeting that is upcoming with the director of the Lee Department of Transportation. The public hearing that we were going to have regarding the new Publix and the development in back of it has been postponed, and I'll tell you about that when we get to it. We'll have an update on the kayak launch site that we talked about last time, which is they're apparently calling the Pine Island Preserve and Malachate Pass. The tour of the wastewater treatment plant, the exciting tour that some of us are going to take in order to learn more about our septic and sewer issues on the island. And then we have kind of a special guest, Dr. James Oatman, who's a member of and the director of the Pine Island Pandemic Task Force, to give us an update on what's going on here on our island in terms of COVID-19. Nadine Slamak, our vice president, will talk about the apparent attempt at a breach of the website and what she's done about that, and also a new dues structure that will be coming up in the fall. And then a brief report about a proposal for a study that we hope to get done about our septic and sewer issues on Pine Island. And finally, we'll have a few minutes open for sharing for anybody who wants to talk about or bring to the attention of members and to the attention of the executive committee any issues regarding our island priorities, which, as most of you probably know, are clean water, traffic, safety, and overdevelopment. Anything else that I have left off that needs to be on here? Okay. And we'll come back here. And let us start then with our treasurer's report from Mike. Mike, you need to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I'm having a little problem here. I know I'm going to go to share screen.
Yeah.
But when I go to share screen here, what I'm looking for, I cannot find here.
Oh. Well, what you have to do is bring it up on your machine before, you know, so that it's up there in the background.
You can lower this, you know, resize the screen so you can, but I don't seem to be able to do that. Yeah, I have both.
I'm not sure what your problem is, Mike.
The problem is that I have both. Let me see if I can get it. Try it. Let's try it right now here.
Okay.
With this. Let me see here. There you go. Okay. All right. So this is I have both presentations on the same thing. So let me see if I can try that again. Well, we had it very briefly.
Yeah. Don't hit try again for that.
Oh, don't? Okay.
No, because that's about installing updates and you don't
Okay.
want to be doing that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Double click on that, see if it comes up again.
I'm clicking on it, but
There
can
it comes.
you see it there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, finally.
Mhm.
And there's actually absolutely no change between last month and this month. This is filed as this was as of 6/1 this morning. The money market was 16,760 and 46 cents. The checking was 2,652 and 29 cents, and the CD is still at 76,328 and 47 cents. There was no money in, that is to say, there was no dues put in, and there was no money out either, at least that was recorded by the bank. So that's that.
Okay.
And let me carefully delete this. And the other thing was the shared use path.
Yeah, let's go.
And yeah, can you still see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let me see if I can see it here. Okay, so bottom line is we had our first meeting on April 26th in 2021. It was basically a proposed pedestrian and bike path from Veterans Parkway to the four-way stop sign on Pine Island. Is to link the bike path on Pine Island with the bike path that runs along Veterans. I'm sure we've all been down Veterans and seen that on the right-hand side there. It's supposed to be a two-phase project with a feasibility study first. And then in that feasibility study, after discussing it, they're going to come up with anywhere from 1 to 3 alternative proposals and ultimately select one of those, assuming that it is feasible, for the PDE phase, which is the second phase. And that's basically project development and environmental concerns. The shared use path is roughly 6.5 miles long, and it'd be designated basically for walkers, but especially for bikers. It's the first meeting concerns were multiple, but the main ones were concerns about an older population mixing with biking traffic, concerns about the nighttime use of the path as far as lighting goes, concerns about the loss of business and parking area in Matlacha, and that was huge. There was a large number of very concerned business owners in Matlacha that made it up a significant part of this group. And they were very concerned about, the loss of parking. How would parking, be accommodated? Would they lose parking space? Would this be affecting businesses and stuff like that? Their ability for people to get into the stores, et cetera. And then there was also concerns about the lane width on the stretch along Little Pine Island Road. Those were the 4 major issues, I think, that were addressed during that. There is going to be another meeting later this summer. And then in the late fall of 2021, there's going to be a public meeting where everybody can attend. And, they'll have the workshop and, probably have some kind of a drawing of what the proposed plan is. So does anybody have any questions?
Mike,
Yes.
if you could, hold on a second. Mike, if you could stop sharing your screen, then we can
Sure.
see everybody and.
All right. Thank you, Helen, for keeping me in line here. I have no idea what I'm doing as far as this stuff goes.
No, this is good.
Okay.
So someone had a question.
Yes, I have a lot of questions concerning that path.
You want to
Someone-
introduce yourself since we
Yeah,
don't
hi.
have.
I'm sorry. My first meeting. My name's Angelo Provenzano.
Hi, Angelo.
Hi. I'm a homeowner in Buxilia. I've ridden thousands of miles on Stringfellow as well as Pine Island Road up to Veterans. But no, I didn't hear anything about the benefits. It seems like everybody was complaining about it, but I didn't hear anything about the benefits of putting this mixed use path in.
Were you part of the meeting?
This is, as I said before, this is my first time.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Okay, no, there
I'm
were
just
a
going,
lot
I'm
of,
just going, I'm just going off of what you said. It
sure,
sounded
okay.
like there was a lot of negative comments or
No,
some
there
negative.
were, obviously, a lot of people started off with, well, here's my concerns about it, and it launched from there. But I mean, some of them are legitimate concerns, but
Absolutely.
there were a lot of positives also,
Right.
because some people thought like, hey, this is a great way to allow people to travel from veterans all the way into Pine Island. So Pine Island would get more visitors. There would also be more business going through Matlacha.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But the thing is, are you planning on putting, I mean, there's a parking issue at Matlacha. What was where were they going to start and end it? I mean, my
I'm
feeling.
sorry. They were going to start it at the beginning of Veterans Parkway,
Right.
and it was going to continue. And part of it is actually already there. I mean, there is a sidewalk there, but it would run along. They had still not said whether it was going to be the north end, or south end, but it would run along Pine Island Road all the way to the center of Pine Island.
What I'm getting at is where is the parking concerns with Matlacha? I mean, expecting people to park there and go on the path. Is that what the deal is?
What they're concerned about is if the path is being created. You've been through Matlacha, many times, and you know how narrow it is. You know, when there are pedestrians walking along the street, they're all oftentimes almost abutting the cars that are passing by.
Right.
So where's the path going to go? Well, if it goes along that road, it's going to have to take somebody's. At least that's the concern of business people.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's going to take some of their property.
Right. Well,
and is it an easement? Could it be an easement issue? Yeah, it very well could be.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe they don't own it, but they're still able to use it. But if the state decides, well, we're going to make a bike path out of that, the state would then have the right, not the individual person whose business happens to be in front of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean that's perfectly reasonable. I mean the roads going through Matlacha on a bike are next to horrific. They're almost as bad as the path in Stringfellow.
I think Stringfellow, the Little Pine Island, is a pretty tough one. That's such a narrow strip, and those big trucks blow by right there. They can knock you right off your bike.
Okay, there was someone else, I think, who had a question or a comment. Sue, go ahead. Sue, you're muted. You got to unmute yourself.
Probably pretty early in the process, but I know that Little Pine Island has a pretty big, wide strip to the north.
That's right.
And would it be a consideration that they would actually put a separate trail there, like they have on Stringfellow?
We actually talked about that. That was also part of what we talked about, and there was consideration that maybe we would move it off the main road and actually run along Pine Island there. The one concern that was brought up regarding that, Sue, was about flooding. That's all basically a salt flat out there, especially during the rainy season and stuff. But I mean, it probably could be elevated. And as Mr. Provenza said, if you're up and down that road any length of time, that is, I think, the most dangerous part of it. That's Stringfellow, because the road is, I think, maybe 3 feet wide at most. The shoulder is only about
it's really narrow.
Yeah, and I see people biking on it all the time.
Yeah. No, I think this is a great idea. Hope you get it through.
I would love to see it happen. I mean, it would give people who do bike, especially, another opportunity. And if you wanted to go out for a walk. I mean, it would be a great walk.
Any other comments or questions for Mike about the mixed use path? Mike, I was thinking about this as I was driving back and forth through Matlacha the other day.
Yeah.
Because you and I were talking about the possibility of asking cyclists to walk their bikes through Matlacha. And at first I had thought, oh my gosh, they'd never do that. How would they enforce that? And it's such a long, from one end of Mount Lachey to the other, that's a long way to walk your bike. But when I was driving through there, I was thinking, really, from the ice cream shop on our side
Right.
to a
Great Lakes.
little after Bert's Bar, that's the area that is so packed up with pedestrians,
And narrow, yeah.
especially during the winter season. And so I thought if they would just put signs up at those points saying, cyclists, please walk your bikes when pedestrians are present. You know, I
Right.
really can't see the sheriffs out there going after people for not walking their bikes. But if there would be friendly signs suggesting that, you know, you're not gonna, really, pedestrians don't want bikes going fast right by them.
That's right, yeah.
You know, off their feet. At that point, the cyclist could, anyway, any other suggestions for Mike that he likes, he could take back to this committee. Nadine, did I see your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Mike, how can people, if they're interested in this issue, how can they get feedback to you? Should they email us at info@gpica.org?
That would be fantastic. And what I
Great.
can do is I can bring those questions, concerns, comments to the next meeting.
Yeah,
Steve Andrews is the man from FDOT who is basically leading this program, and I've contacted him a few times. He seems very open to listening to what we're talking about. He just, you know, wants to make it a happening project.
Thanks, Mike.
okay. So
Okay.
Nadine, would you put the, please?
Putting it in
put that
chat right now.
in the chat, yeah,
Thank
Ellen,
you.
can I just ask a quick question?
sure.
Hi, everybody. I'm Connie. I'm new to the crew here. This is my husband, Guy. Guy rides the island all the time on his bike, so I know this would absolutely thrill him. But you mentioned that a lot of the store owners were present and giving their gripes.
Well, they were concerned because obviously this is going to, if there are pedestrians and there are bikers, and the bikers are using the same pathway as the pedestrians, then there's a concern about, you know, a lot of the, let's face it, a lot of people are older, so people can get injured and stuff like that. And I think there was also concern about, you know, are we losing parking spaces if we're giving this, you know, for our shops, if we are giving up, you know, this easement to the FDOT. Now,
Well,
I don't know
parking
who
out
owns
there
it.
is an issue in and of itself without the
Say again?
mention of the path, the parking in that Lachey.
Oh, yeah. Well,
That's
and
a whole nother issue.
that is a whole other issue. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's been brought up many, many times that they should establish a parking garage, and then way people could, you know, park their cars and then just amble through Mount Lachey and then go back to their cars and go home.
Well, my
But,
question was more along the lines of the people that are interested in it and behind it.
Yeah.
When will they get a chance to voice their concerns, just like the store owners already have?
There's going to be a public meeting. It'll be in the late fall. There's going to be a second planning meeting, a feasibility meeting, if you will. And then from there in the late fall, after the public has heard and had given their input, then they're going to move into, if it's deemed feasible, they will move into the planning and development stage. Yeah.
And you'll keep us posted on that date?
Yeah, I'm here every month.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
thank you.
And Connie and everybody, do put your comments and questions in the chat, even if you've already voiced them, because then Mike will remember them and can take them right to the committee. Okay, I'm going to do the same. All right, so we're going to go on now.
Helen,
Yeah,
one comment. I would
What?
ask Mike to please send me copies of those for the records.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
All right, Deb.
okay. So the GPICA sent a letter to the Lee County Department of Transportation and to the County Commissioner Chair, Kevin Wayne, outlining the traffic issues that we all know exist on Pine Island. So, you know, the main two bottlenecks that we're all faced with, getting off the island are at the four-way stop and going through Mount Lachey. And then there was some concern about Pineland Road, which hasn't been repaired in a long time, or maybe even ever, and is kind of falling apart at the margins. And there may be other transportation issues on the island that people have some ideas about. So some of us on the board are going to a meeting. They actually responded to our letter and said, yes, we will be happy to meet with you. Also invited are people from the Chamber of Commerce and Greater Pine Island. And we're going to talk about what are the issues and what are some ideas about solving these issues. Now, none of these issues are real easy to solve. And so we want to be sure, at least I want to be sure, that the Department of Transportation just doesn't run off and decide, okay, we're going to do X, Y, or Z, and it turns out to be even worse for the people of Pine Island, or things that people of Pine Island really don't want. So we want to give as much input as we can. This meeting that we're going to have with them is going to be in the middle of this month. And so I'm wondering if people have some ideas about this. Some of the ideas that we have thrown around before are putting traffic cams throughout Mount Lachey that would then go to people's computers so people could see when the traffic was really bottled up there, and then they would avoid going through there. I have my doubts about this personally, but I do know that they have done this on Sanibel, where Kevin Ruane was the mayor, when he was the mayor of Sanibel, and it seemed to work really well on Sanibel. They have somewhat different issues than we did, but than we do. The other is just the fact that years ago, there was talk about putting a traffic circle at the four-way stop. And there was a lot of objection to it by the people on Pine Island, apparently. People could not, first of all, people could not imagine those long trucks with the palm trees going around, you know, a traffic circle, as well as other gigantic trucks that we have sometimes going to restaurants and bars on the island. And also the fact that it would take up property, you know, to enlarge this circle. There are other people on Pine Island who say, I never want to see a traffic signal on this island. That's the reason I moved to the island, because there was no traffic lights. You know, so people have strong opinions about this, but we need to come up with workable ideas, because we all know that the traffic situation just gets worse year by year. The numbers of people on Pine Island increase, the numbers of cars increase, and then we're all the more stuck. So Sue DeHood has put something in the chat saying Sanibel has traffic cops. Are you suggesting that we have traffic cops? Sue, unmute yourself, or anybody who wants to speak, just go ahead and unmute yourself.
I know Sanibel has the same issue about lights and, you know, traffic control. So I think they just hire people to, in the really busy times, to just wave people through certain areas. So it would only work at the four-way. And my other comment is, I think if Boston can do traffic circles, we can do traffic circles.
Hey, Sue, the difference I think on Sanibel is that they have their own police department. Out here, we're covered by Lee County Sheriff's Office. So, you know, I know we have sheriffs around here all the time, and they've got a substation out here, at least they used to. But I don't know, that might be one of the options we need to explore, is having the county work with the Sheriff's Office to have a police direct traffic during peak hours, or get their voice volunteers to do it. So that's, you know, it's definitely a suggestion worth exploring.
This is Frank Potter. I used to live up north, and basically a small rotary was put in at a very busy intersection. And everybody was against it, or a lot of people were against it. But it was surprising how quickly people adapted to it.
Really?
And it was also not only a very busy road, but it was a trestle over a bridge, over railroad tracks. And once people got used to it and knew which way to go around the rotary, it really expedited a lot of traffic.
That's interesting. Okay.
Uh,
Jeff?
Yeah, I'm not a traffic engineer by any means, but to me, the main problem is Matt Lachey.
Yeah.
And traffic gets backed up in both directions, irrespective of what you do at Four Corners.
That's right.
I've been at Four Corners many times when I shouldn't say many times, but a couple of times it's been backed up all the way north and south on Stringfellow. But the problem is Matt Lachey. So putting a traffic circle in there to me isn't going to solve the issue. The issue is the bottleneck in Matt Lachey.
Well, we have two problems, and we're hoping to solve both of them. And I think you could take a look at the St. Armand Circle in Sarasota, where the traffic circle is. I mean, you just cannot believe the traffic that goes through that circle. So to me, I agree with Jeffrey's comment. I believe it was Jeffrey that made the comment that if we build it, I think people will get used to it. And to me, it is the solution. And then the solution down in Matlacha is the people have to come together. They have to form an MSBU so that they can, if the businesses want to benefit from the increased business, then they have to fund what they need to serve that business. And they need to work together with the county to find a suitable site for a garage.
Exactly.
And then work to put a boardwalk under the bridge, the big bridge, because there's plenty of clearance. That way the pedestrian traffic does not have to cross over the road on the east end. And then the other thing is you could build an arch at the west end. And so that would take care, and then you want to prohibit any, you want to separate the pedestrian traffic, just like all over Europe. They have steel posts to separate the pedestrians from the vehicular traffic. So we need that type of situation, and then they'll have far more business. One of the things they could do also would they have a canal on both sides of the road. They could do a boardwalk along that canal and serve all the businesses on the backside. And you're talking about tripling their business if they would do something like that. So these things are all workable, and the easiest way to do it is to form an MSBU, and that way everybody that benefits from it can pay an annual payment on their tax bill to increase their business.
There you go.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. So great ideas, Noel. Anybody else have anything they want to share or ask about that particular issue?
Yeah, Noel, can you explain to us what the NSPU is and how is it handled?
Yeah, we had a presentation on this a couple of months ago. Go ahead, Noel.
Okay, it's a municipal services benefit unit. And so if you have 50% plus one of the people that are deriving benefit from the infrastructure improvement, then the county will go forward. They'll design the project, they'll cost out the project and tell everybody what it's going to cost if they go forward. And then the community can make a final decision when they have all the facts in front of them. But in order to start the process, you have to have 50 plus one sign a petition that they are in favor of looking at the project and getting a cost analysis of it.
So that would be Matt Lachey that would need to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good luck.
Well, I think the county would certainly be a partner in that.
I agree.
I don't know, we could probably argue that Pine Island would see a benefit from it too and be included in that MS.
Absolutely. We're a donor community. We send $1 million a year more to the county then we get returned in services. So we can ask for things like this. It just takes us all willing to work together on it.
Yeah.
No, when you say 50+1, are we talking registered voters? Are we
No, we're
talking
talking about property owners.
property owners? Okay.
Okay.
And what would then be the cost structure? Would it be a fee, or would the county do it, or how
Well,
does
the
it get
county
paid?
would do the county would manage the whole process. It would be done through the county finance department, and there would be annual buildings that would be a part of. It'd be a non-ad valorem add-on tax down below where your real property taxes, where you fund the general fund. This would be a category down below on your tax bill, and that's how we fund our fire district. And the other districts are funded through that same source. And so we'd be able to, they could tell you the project, what it would cost. Interest right now on that kind of a loan is around 2.3%. So if you was ever going to do it, now's the time to do it. And cost of money is so cheap. And so you could finance a project. They'll tell you, they'll build the interest, they'll build delinquencies, they'll build all of that into the program and tell you what your bill is going to be on an annual basis for say 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it takes to amortize the payment out to where it's the least impact to the business owner is how you can figure it.
And that would be for something like a garage, a parking garage?
Absolutely.
Okay. I've
Yeah,
never,
yeah. And some of
Okay.
these other ideas that Noel put forward.
yeah,
Nadine has just put the webpage, I think, in the chat where you can go and read about MSTBU projects. Okay, any other comments on this issue?
Do we
Yes,
have any?
I've got one for Noel.
Okay.
He was saying that the businesses would pay for this, but wouldn't every property owner in Matlacha and Pine Island pay for this?
Well, it starts with the, you have to have an entity that would request the project to move forward. And the way that's customarily done is you take all of the business owners, all of the property, take this, the property ID numbers, and the county does a mailing to each one of them, and then they get a survey. And if 50+1 of those owners say, yeah, we'd like to take a look at this project. And then when we see the financing numbers, that's when we would go to the community and say, well, this is a much bigger thing than what the businesses can handle. So let's all work together here. And then we all negotiate an agreement.
Right, 'cause I don't foresee the businesses that are down there being able to support building a
can't.
multi-million-dollar
Right.
parking garage.
Absolutely not. And I don't expect them to either.
Yeah.
No, we have to all ante up, but we have to start the process somewhere. And that's customarily how it started, with them being the entity that would identify the project.
Okay, so someone's put a comment in the chat asking, shouldn't the Department of Transportation be evaluating the current risk to pedestrians in Matlacha without a 50+1 request? It's only a matter of time before someone is killed. Was somebody knowledgeable about that?
Well, I'll comment on that. The problem there is that there are federal and state laws that prohibit the expansion or expenditure of tax dollars to widen the road through an historic district. So that's why Matlacha Road has never been considered for any improvements, is because it's how you're going to fund it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good point. I'd like to move on now, unless anybody else has a burning question or comment. Okay.
I just have one quick comment.
Sure. So
Just my opinion, that we're so anti-tax in multiple parts of this community that I think if we started with a survey, we would get maybe a 10% return on yes.
Right.
However, if we did the finances and it came to like $10 a head instead of $500 a head, you might get buy-in. So I think the actual cost and the distribution of the cost is critical in getting this to move forward.
Mhm. Yeah, a good idea. Interesting idea. Okay, I just want to talk a little bit about the public hearing that was postponed. We were going to have a public hearing tonight regarding that new Publix that we all see going up day by day at what they're calling Calusa K, and an associated condominium development behind the Publix called Orchard Cove. And this is news to some people, and other people have known about this for years. So they are planning 96 townhomes and an amenity building located behind the new Publix. And the construction includes a roadway, drainage, potable water mains, and central sewer collection systems, and 2 lakes. And then they also want zoning and development amendments to do things like add a package store within 500 feet of the elementary school, which they're not supposed to do. And they also want to add a couple more buildings adjacent to the Publix. So this all has been postponed. And the reason for that is that the county lawyers decided that an all Zoom meeting does not satisfy what a public hearing is supposed to be. You know, of course, what a public hearing is supposed to be was all written before we had a global pandemic, but that's the way it is. And so since the GPICA is the kind of go-to organization for public hearings on Greater Pine Island, we wanted to make sure that we did host that meeting. And so what we've done is to contact the United Methodist Church in Pine Island Center, and they're very happy to let us use their sanctuary, which is a whole lot bigger and can be better ventilated, certainly than the Elks Club, where we normally meet in person. And that is going to be happening, I believe I can announce this now, on Tuesday, June 29th at 6 o'clock. And we would invite people to show up, and we're also going to be trying to do this online as well, so that the snowbirds, if they're up north, they can be part of this, and also people who are unvaccinated, who are not yet safe going to an indoor meeting. If they choose, they can also hopefully Zoom in. We do have Dr. James Copeman, who's going to tell us later about the risk and why, you know, some people have been asking, you know, why are you still on Zoom? You know, why don't you guys go back to in-person meetings? Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. The more that people get vaccinated, the safer it's going to be for us to do that. It's certainly safer for the people who have had the 2 shots, and it will be safer and safer the more people get vaccinated. We'll talk about that in a bit, but this is why the public hearing has been postponed. One of our members suggested that we talk tonight about the issue of putting that package store within 500 feet of an elementary or of a school. There is a section, LDC section 34-1263 of the county code, that said that the public door to liquor store must be 500 feet from the property line of a school. But they're going to be asking to change that. They're going to be asking for a variance on that. And so even though he can't be here tonight, he was thinking that people might want to talk about that. I think he feels pretty strongly that they shouldn't be able to do that. Others I've heard say, well, geez, it's an elementary school. How many of those little kids are going to be running over the liquor store, you know? So Claudia, I see you've got a hand raised. Go
Yes,
ahead.
I've had experience with elementary students.
Have
Yes,
you? Yes.
yes.
They do that? Do they do
Some
that?
of them do, yes. We've had to save a couple.
Oh dear. All right. So, but then I guess one might ask, well, is putting the door to the liquor store a little bit further away, really going to deter them if those kids want to do that during school hours? Is this something that, people feel strongly about, or?
I just don't think we need it. We have a package store that serves the community quite well.
Yeah.
And I just, no, we don't need to give them this.
Yeah, there is one at Winn-Dixie currently, and the one you're referring to. And I don't think there is a need for a second one. And if there is one, then I think that they should be forced to do it at least within the laws that are currently stated, 500 feet.
Yes.
From 500 feet is not that far away from an elementary school.
No.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
true. Okay.
Can I
So-
tell him? I'm here. Can I speak?
Well, what I
Oh,
would,
okay, go ahead, Scott.
All right.
Scott's
Thanks. I
coming.
just jumped in at the right time. Thank you.
Yeah, just at the right moment.
Okay.
Your issue.
I don't think we're ready to take a position on this, but I think people need to be educated on the importance of this statute or this ordinance. And if they can put it 319 feet away, why can't they put it 219, 119, or
Yeah.
right up against the
Right,
property line of the
exactly.
elementary school? They have a huge area at Publix where they could locate this thing, and 500 feet's probably not enough. But I'll tell you, and I'm not a teetotaler, I'm not arguing that liquor's bad or anything like that, but you see some of the people that are going in and out of current liquor store, and they are not savory people. And the children that are at that elementary school are at ages, correct me if I'm wrong, 5 to maybe 11. Those are our most vulnerable population. There's no reason that we have to bend over backwards to have a liquor store put next to that school.
I agree.
I agree.
well, I think what we need to do though is to be smart here. And I think we could win that issue easily with the
How's
county.
that?
Just say that this is, all the arguments that everybody's just said just now are all valid arguments.
Okay.
And so therefore, I don't think the hearing examiner would approve it. And, but is there something else about the project that we hate worse than the package store? Because this is your negotiation chance here to get the best deal we can for Pine Island. So we need to look at the project and see if we want changes in design, if we want any kind of large changes in the project. This might be an opportunity to gain that. But at the end of the day, unless we're going to get something like that, then we don't want to change the requirement of the 500 feet. If we don't change that, I think it would be a good opportunity to eliminate that from the project.
Are you saying negotiate? In other words, like let's have fewer condominiums in exchange for a
Yes.
closer,
Yeah.
something like that? Yeah.
If that's something that we feel is more important, I'm not naming anything.
No, I understand.
I'm
Yeah.
just
I just chose that one, but
yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. Because if we think it's too many units and we'd be better off with fewer housing units, we say we'll reduce the number of units and then we'll give you this carrot over here. But that's how planning works in Lee County.
Okay.
I don't think,
Stu has her hand up there. Yeah.
Yeah, two questions. One is, does the condo density meet the Pine Island plan?
No,
And
what happened was before we changed the plan, there were several projects that got green lighted under
By
the
who?
old requirements by the county, by the county.
we can't enforce the current plan?
Well, this particular plan has already been approved. It was approved like 4 or 5 years ago.
We can, okay. I assume there's legal reasons for that. The other question is.
What you can speak to is you can speak to any kind of zoning change they need, and they do need zoning changes, which is
Okay.
what we're talking about here.
The other question is their waste treatment plant. I would advocate that they design it as basically zero emission, which can be done. I think you can go to 3 ppm phosphate and nitrate. I doubt that's what they have in mind. So that might be something we should consider.
Those are good ideas.
That is a good idea.
No,
I
have they
think these
done
are
a
all great
traffic-
ideas. I think we all need to just remember, you need to come to the public information session we're hosting on June 29th. And also, if there are further discussion or further disagreements you have with the project, please plan to speak at the hearing examiners meeting, because if you're not heard there, you cannot be heard before
Right.
the Lee County
I-
Commission on these issues.
Okay, I said,
When is that meeting?
None of
I
these
said-
things have been said. This is the
Okay.
first step in the
it
process.
has been
For them
said.
to have
It
this
has.
public information session on Pine Island, and then they have to present their case to the hearing examiner. So none of those meetings have been set yet.
I got an email setting the date. I sent a copy of that to Helen.
I didn't get it. I'm sorry, no.
Okay, I got a notice setting that meeting.
Which is
Which
when?
meeting?
Which
are you
meeting?
talking about?
This is the meeting for the zoning change for the condos.
When is that? Do you know?
I just saw it come in from the county because I'm on their list, and I sent it on to Helen. I thought I copied Scott on it too.
Okay, I'm afraid I didn't get that, or I didn't understand the significance of
When I
it.
get done, I'll resend it to you.
Yeah, send it to me and let's
Send it to
we'll
all
maybe
of
have a
us.
discussion about it. Okay, so the very next thing that's going to happen that's important for all of us to try to be there at is this public hearing at the Methodist Church. So Nadine will send out a message about that to all of us in GPICA. So we all remember when that is and get down there. And then after that, is my understanding, after that, then they have this other meeting at which some of us will also show up.
Many people there as possible.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
right.
do you know that meeting that you said you just saw is after June 29th?
Off the top of my head, I think it was in July, but I
Okay.
don't know for sure until I don't know how to go to my email now.
Yeah.
Could I just add one thing here?
Yes, Scott, go ahead.
They've hired one of the best lawyers I've met down here. Her name's Beverly Grady of Retzel and Andrus to represent him at this meeting and this process. She is also coincidentally a member of the law firm that we use with Sarah Spector.
Okay, well,
Do what we can do.
exactly. Thank you, Claudia. Yeah, I mean, at this public meeting, we're going to have, hopefully, we'll have the two people from Banks Engineering, which is responsible for development, and they will come and they will explain the whole thing to us. And I think it's really important to get that explanation and to listen carefully to that before we begin voicing our objections. Claudia, I see your hand.
Yes, can we ask them to send you a schematic drawing of the plans so that you can distribute it to everybody so we can take a look at it? And secondly, Noel, I remember you saying that they needed to have a second entrance to these townhomes. Is that one of the zoning things they're going to ask to get access to birdsong?
Birdsong, I think, is where they're coming out at. Yeah.
Well, the last I heard though was that they do not plan an exit through Birdsong.
Yeah.
How can they
Yeah.
do one exit?
Well, I don't know. This is a good question that we'll ask them.
That would
on
be
site.
another the conditional use that they would ask the hearing examiner
Variance.
to waive.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was some concern about sending all the traffic through that small community in which there are a lot of little kids, a lot of walkers and dogs and all of that to Stringfellow. And my concern is that this is just adding 96 townhomes, adding to the traffic problem right there at our four corners.
And there's another 90 going behind my subdivision in the mid of Pine Island. They've already been approved.
Where is that, Claudia?
Someone brought this up earlier in the year, but it is kind of, it's in the middle of Pine Island, right past the Moose Club, where the office buildings are, where the attorney is, it's behind there.
Yeah.
So that's another group that's coming in.
Okay.
I don't
So
know what
all
the
the more important to work on these traffic issues. Jeff?
Noel, has anything been filed with the county on any of the zoning requests? That we can go look at a proposal there on their website?
When the county sends me a notice, that means that the file is sufficient.
Sufficient. So
And
we
that
can
means
all
that-
get on the website and go look at the proposal. with the schematic,
Absolutely.
everything there.
Well, once I send this email back to Helen and she circulates it, it'll tell you exactly how to get the information
Good.
online.
Okay,
No, I just found an email from you and it said the hearing hasn't been set yet. So I don't know if I'm
Okay.
the right one or not.
Okay, it may not have.
I
I'll
don't
check
think
that.
it's set yet.
Well, we
Thanks.
hope not. We hope it goes in order, you know.
I
Okay.
didn't get it. No, I didn't get it. And usually I get that stuff.
Okay, I'll check that.
Okay, thank you, Noel.
Uh,
All
get back
right,
to
so it sounds like, yeah, people are concerned about this. Yeah, let's get out there and get our voices heard. Okay, we're going to move on now to an update on the kayak launch site in St. James City. Those of you who were at the May GPICA general meeting, we heard from one of the two consultants responsible for the property across from the Flamingo Bay development. And that property they're calling Pine Island Preserve at Matlacha Pass. But because of technical difficulties on the part of the other consultant, we could not hear her at all. So she was unable to answer our questions. And they felt bad about this actually. And they asked us to reschedule so that they can properly explain what they plan to do. So we've offered them a spot in July or August, and my understanding, Nadine, correct me if I'm wrong, but they have not.
They have not gotten back.
Yeah, but we want to make sure they have a legal representative for the Conservation Foundation, which is the group behind this enterprise, coming to the meeting, as well as a site plan, so that we would all see the site plan, because we did have quite a few questions about this before. Okay, any questions or comments on this?
Excuse me, Helen?
Yeah.
Can I just mention as regards the development that we were just talking about, not the Pine Island kayaking thing, but the one before that.
One before public.
Shouldn't we get this into the newspaper so that they're aware of this also, so that we can let everybody know that this meeting is going to be happening on the 29th?
Absolutely.
Like the developers will be required to advertise the public information meeting. Yeah, we will put it out there as well. And we'll make sure Paulette knows and that, you know, she covers it, but they are required, you know, by law to advertise this meeting.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Furthermore, the people at the Methodist Church said they would be happy to advertise it to their congregation as well. So that will bring in people who generally are not online with us at the GPICA. Okay, so, you know, as you know, we're concerned about clean water in our surroundings, and particularly the big septic tanks and the problem of how in the world you make a modern sewer system out of all of these individual septic tanks and little systems that are connected here and there. And in order to kind of get a handle on what's going on Pine Island, the board has asked for a tour of the wastewater treatment plant, which is down in St. James City. And so we're going to go down there, and they're going to have people there that are going to really answer our questions, like, is it true that the sewage from Matlacha actually all comes all to our Pine Island wastewater treatment plant? How do they do that? And how come not more of Pine Island is hooked up when it seems like you're only at 50% capacity? So those are some of the questions that I have for them. If there's anybody here who is just dying to go on a trip to the wastewater treatment plant, shoot us an email and you can certainly come along. They say this is going to be June 14th at 1 p.m. There are waivers you have to sign. I've printed out some waivers and I'm going to bring them along. They say wear long pants and closed-toe shoes for your own safety. But if you're interested, just let us know and we'd love to have you come along.